Good afternoon. It's Sunday, August 23rd, 2020, and coming to you live from the Lonely Tree Media Studios in Ellensburg, Washington. This is the Best Lamb Sports Show. I'm your host, David Lamb. With me, as always, my son Parker. Hello, Parker.
What's going on, everybody?
And AJ is with us this week. Hi, AJ.
How we doing?
So we're live streaming on YouTube every weekend. We're on Twitter at Lamb Sports, on Facebook, under the Best Lamb Sports Show. You can send us an email, lambsports@gmail.com, and please check out our webpage, lambsports.com. You can find links to past shows, current trivia question, all kinds of stuff. If you want to give us some feedback, that would be wonderful. You can leave us a message, and we'll email you back. First part of our show, as always, is brought to you by The Range in Yakima. The Range is Central Washington's premier indoor shooting facility at 34,000 square feet. The Range is an all-inclusive facility offering firearm training, retail firearm sales and supplies, full gunsmithing and repairs, custom builds, and Cerakote services all under one roof. Open Tuesday through Sunday, 11 to 7. Go see our friends at The Range, 1701 Garrettson Lane in Yakima. The phone number is 509-571-1449. And right now they're doing their first shots classes, which if you're brand new to shooting, you can go out there this coming weekend and get a class. If you've never shot before, you're interested, you want to learn how to shoot a gun, they will teach you. So, that being said, gentlemen, we got lots of stuff to talk about. Blazers, Timbers, baseball, football, NCAA, KBO, WNBA, UEFA Champions League. There's golf in here. I got F1.
What aren't we talking about today?
We are not talking about Major League Lacrosse.
Major League Wait, that's still a thing.
Sadly. Well, yeah. So we're not talking about, and I'm sure that's going to offend the Major League Lacrosse fan base that we have. But
6 of them.
Yeah, both of those people. Also, I just want to make a quick announcement that the Lonely Tree Media Studios will be moving to Yakima, Washington, in a few weeks, 3 or 4.
Big move.
It's a big move. We're a much larger studio with more
facilities.
Right. It's fantastic. State of the art. Spared no expense. Yakima, for those of you who don't know, is the hometown of U.S. Olympic skiers Phil and Steve Mayer, comedian Sam Kinison, actor Kyle MacLachlan, two-time World Series champion Todd Stottlemyre, and L.A. Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp. So there you go.
Also the Palm Springs of Washington.
It is also the Palm Springs of Washington. I'm not sure that
if you believe that
that's a real thing. I mean, somebody deemed it that a long time ago, and there's a billboard as you go into town that says that. And
it's an old looking billboard too.
It's only because it's hot and deserty. That's the main.
That's the only part of Washington that's like that.
Yeah, there's like 3 towns in central Washington that are, this hot, deserty, nasty in the summer and cold in the winter. And I happen to have lived in 2 of them. All right, so we're going to go to the trivia question because I went deep, like I always do, for a good trivia question for you guys. We are trivia question this week is brought to you by Stave & Stone Wine Estates. Go to staveandstone.com and you can check out their new gift baskets. Perfect for the wine lover in your family. For more information, you can call 541-946-3750. That's 541-WINE-750, or email them info@staveandstone.com. So the trivia question is football related. You guys are going to like that. It's NFL. You ready?
Is it pre-1980?
No, it's not.
Because that's the problem with the trivia questions is that I never know them because I wasn't alive for most of the answers.
All right. Yes. Well, you know what? You're supposed to know all about sports. You can't be on a sports show if you don't know, like, 1970s sports. Come on, man.
It's true.
So here it is. So the 2020 NFL season set to start on Thursday, September 10th. And by the way, that's just 18 days from now.
Woo!
And one team will start their journey to become Super Bowl champions. The question I have is, which NFL player has played the most NFL seasons without winning a Super Bowl?
Oh, I know the answer.
Do you?
I feel like I do.
Okay. I'll be impressed. We will give out the answer.
Say it now.
What?
The show.
Oh, okay.
AJ didn't know that we don't do the answer right now.
Yeah, we will do the answer at the end of the show. We'll talk about it at the end of the show.
I'm ready for it, bro.
You guys have about an hour to figure out if you know the answer or not. You'll
Right.
know by then, right? It'll come to you, or it won't. It's fate or not. So lots of stuff to talk about. We want to start with the Blazers-Lakers. Blazers and Lakers continued their first round best-of-7 series yesterday. Portland dropped Game 3, 116-108. Lakers lead the series 2-1. Game 4 is set for Monday at 6 on TNT. Damian Lillard had 34 points and CJ McCollum 28, Carmelo Anthony 20. But that wasn't enough because the Lakers went to the free throw line 1,000 times. And, they shot 43 free throws.
It's ridiculous.
And Portland shot 19. Despite the fact that the fouls were fairly even. 25 Portland fouls, 21 Laker fouls. And then Portland also was out-rebounded 67-44. That's a big deal. They've been struggling with that in all 3 games. So the question is, Game 4 is coming tomorrow, and what does Portland need to do? They looked good 2.5 quarters in, and then somewhere in the third quarter, they weren't playing poorly. Just the Lakers were better.
Any Blazer fan could have predicted that was going to happen in the third quarter.
Yeah.
Terry Stotts literally looks at the guys and he's like, "Yeah, you're good for a little bit. Let them chew back into this. Let's make it a game. Let's make it fun." And then once you let LeBron start rolling, you let it's too much. Did you see those 3 consecutive wing jumpers that they gave up to AD, back to back to back, from the left, from the right, from the left again? Easy. Nurk was not even moving out on him. I mean, so they gave up 6 points on 3 possessions and never scored answers to it. There was no hustle. Nurk was gassed the entire fourth quarter. Somebody needs to work on big man's conditioning. So, I don't know. I don't know what the Blazers need to do to get back in this. I don't think they got it.
I personally think that we just need to commit to stopping AD. LeBron looked like he was hurting us, but it was only because the Blazers were starting to get lazy. In the first 2 games of this series, there's a reason why last game everyone was saying playoff LeBron is back. It's because it's the first game he's actually done something. In the other 2 games, he had like 12 points, and I think he had like 16 in the other. Like, he was almost a non-factor, and AD has just been killing us, the Blazers, and that's just mainly an effort thing. In the rebound total, it's like, wow, they missed. Kadavius Caldwell-Pope shoots a 3. We know it's going to be a miss. Why are we not committing to boxing out Anthony Davis? I'm not worried about JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard necessarily on the block with our other big men, but AD just continues to kill us on everywhere on the floor, and that's just, we need to commit to stopping that if the Blazers want a chance to win.
You have to worry about the big men, though, because we can't not get called for fouls. So if you want them to box out, then they run the risk of getting called for some crap foul when AD wraps his arm around, Wenyen Gabriel, who doesn't stand a chance physically against him, or Dwight Howard, or JaVale McGee, or anybody that they have getting their rebounds. We don't have the depth at big men, and we don't have true mobile big men. I mean, we got Nurk, who's kind of mobile, but you saw last night he's really easy to get past if you want to. If you commit yourself to going past Nurk, it's easy peasy, even for Anthony Davis. And then beyond that, we have Hassan Whiteside, who will decide when he wants to play, which isn't always. He goes up for some rebounds. He doesn't go up for others. He gets 10 blocks a game, but he only scores 2 points, and he misses 20 rebounds in the process. I just don't think they have the infrastructure to handle it, And you have Gary Trent playing on LeBron. It's not a rookie, but it's a young guy, practically a rookie in LeBron's eyes, against a seasoned vet. Who are those calls going to go for every single time? It's not going to be Gary Trent. It's a loss until you change up your scheme.
Yeah. So, one of those things that I watch as a former, I guess I'm not an NBA player, but a former player. I play basketball quite a bit, and I refereed some basketball. One of those things I watch is how people react when there's contact, when they drive to the basket, and the NBA has become this. It's one of the things I don't like about the NBA. It has become this acting studio, right? Where there's contact, to be sure, but it's not contact that should be called a foul. It's not contact that most people would even call it. But as soon as NBA star LeBron James goes, when he goes up for the shot, whether there's contact or not, someone's raising their hand calling a foul. And you see him do it. You see him get vocal about, you are bigger than everyone else on that floor, size-wise. There is no reason why it should hurt when someone hits your arm, right? not enough for you to scream every time you go up and get a shot. You watch the next game in Game 4. Pay attention every time LeBron goes driving to the basket. If there's someone near him, he will scream and make some sort of noise, like he's like someone just cut off his arm.
But that's only if he's gonna miss it.
Yeah,
He'll flail his arms
right.
and he'll let go of the ball and he'll yell only if he's going to miss
Well,
it. If he's going to make it, though, he's driving through that contact, through your body, slamming it home, throwing up his muscles, and then walking away. But if he's not going to make it, he knows there's no chance. It's a scream and a yelp and a whiny, limpy dog walking away.
Yeah, if he thinks it's going to
hold his eyes,
the chance it won't go in, he'll definitely you'll hear it.
But this isn't on the players. This is on the league.
Absolutely.
The league lets it happen through and through. I will never fault the player for operating within the rules the league gives out.
And that's what I said.
And that's to that point is almost why, like, I brought up the point of AD because I think that Anthony Davis, I mean, he's such a dynamic player. I mean, watching his footwork and his step back shots, like, it's almost unguardable, but we got to take away the second chance points that they're getting.
Yeah.
Like, Anthony Davis had like 6 putback dunks. Like,
yeah, he had like 3 of them in a row.
Would be a lot, but he had 3 in a row, and they had a possession where he himself had 3 offensive rebounds.
I remember that towards the end of the game.
Yeah, it's like, how are we gonna? In game 1, the Blazers won. Game 2, the Lakers crushed the Blazers.
Yeah.
Game 3 looked like a good game, but the final score doesn't truly show it because at the end of the game, we gave up, like I said, so many second chance points that you're not ever gonna get back in if you are giving them 2 to 3 shots of possession.
Dame went cold at the wrong time too.
That too, yeah.
He had 8 points in the second half or something like that.
He was 2 for 9, and CJ was 3 for 10 in the second half.
Yeah, but both of them had incredible first halves.
Exactly. It's the consistency needs to be there all across the board. But I'm the type of sports viewer where it all starts on the defensive end.
I completely agree.
And if we're not continuing to get stops, the Blazers are that team too. We see when we're getting stops, when we're running in transition, everybody's hitting. No one's having a problem. It's the moment that we have to keep up. The Blazers didn't have a problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll no more no more tomorrow. They have to win Game 4. I mean, the Blazers do. Otherwise, you might as well just they're going to give up. But something has to happen. I'm of the belief that Anthony Davis, you can't let him hit outside shots and inside shots. Let him have one or the other, right? But I would love to have him. I'd rather have him shooting from way outside than have him getting put back dunks.
Yeah, make him think he's Steph.
Yeah, that's that's what I would do because he's not always going to hit those. So, yeah, I mean, it's what do I know? The other option is to make him angry. So
why don't the Blazers commit to doubles? Like, are we really worried about Kadavius Caldwell-Pope? Like, are we actually like because
he had a decent night.
The Lakers did that same thing. They were doubling CJ and Dame every time and making the other one work, and they were forcing the ball around. If the Blazers commit to doubling one of their stars, you're gonna put the ball in other role players' hands, and you never know where that's gonna go. At this point, why not try?
And one of those, I'll tell you, one of those things that frustrates me when I watch. I like C.J. McCollum. I think he overdribbles quite a bit. He's trying to create a move, trying to create a lane. He likes to go to the basket, and I get it. But comes a point where 5 or 6 seconds worth of dribbling to try and get yourself open is counterproductive because all you're doing is let the defense sit there and rest because they don't got just one guy guarding you, and you're trying to make a move to go around him. I'm like, stop doing that. Move the ball. Pass the ball.
I like when he does it when he's up against mismatches, when he's up against centers and power forwards, because he can roast them. That movement helps. But when you're playing against another guard, like, what do you think you're going to accomplish here? He's just as fast as you.
I have watched enough basketball to tell you that what I know is that the teams that move the ball, that pass the ball effectively around and back, make the defense move back and forth, they get open shots and they win games. That's just how you do it.
And on top of that, I think the biggest thing the Blazers need to do is slow down. So many rushed possessions. We would get the ball off of a great stop, run down. CJ, did anybody see that Nurk layup?
Yeah,
it looked like he was doing a finger roll from like 13 feet out.
Yeah,
I was like,
he had 3 of those in a row where they got the ball to him down low, and half of the Laker defenders were still back.
Yeah,
and he's like trying to do these weird moves.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he's still going up against like Dwight Howard in that moment.
So you have to be smart, but we don't need that shot.
Yeah, that's
and we don't need those CJ rushed floaters on the side. Like, we know he can make them, but those are a hard shot.
Yeah.
To your point, David, why don't we like those 6 possessions get 4 buckets out of the 6 maybe if we slow down and maybe try to work some. And then if it doesn't work, then we at least tried our offense.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to say slow the tempo, but geez, Nurk, you ain't.
Terry Stotts has a habit of letting the players play, let them kind of control their own game and their own rhythms, and I think sometimes he needs to stop.
Yeah, buy some.
And he needs to be a coach sometimes and actually instruct plays. You know, you don't see some of the greater offenses in this league. The Rockets, for instance, have a fantastic offense. And do you ever see their coach sitting down? No, he's always up there. He's always yelling. He's always moving them around. He's always calling out plays and things like that. And they listen and they do them. So I think Terry Stotts needs to be a little more hands-on sometimes.
Okay. So other NBA action, because there was some, by the way. Today, Boston swept Philly out of the playoffs with a 110-106 win. Did anybody, I mean, after the injury to
Ben Simmons.
Yeah, that was pretty much a given, I feel. You know what I mean? Joel Embiid is good, but without someone to feed him the ball, without him feeding the ball to someone when he gets in trouble, there was nothing there. And they looked like it. 4 games, they looked terrible against the Celtics to me. But what do I know? So, Toronto, the Raptors are going to look to do the same thing to Brooklyn this afternoon. They play a little bit later.
They'll handle that.
Yeah, I mean, Brooklyn looks like a team that doesn't belong.
Blazers ruined their effort to ruin their effort.
Right?
They haven't looked the same.
Yeah, that was, yeah. So, and then Utah and Denver square off later tonight, Game 4 of their series. That's at 6 o'clock tonight. The Jazz lead that series 2-1.
They look good, too.
Yeah. Tomorrow, Giannis and the Bucks will take on the Magic in Game 4 of their series. Milwaukee leads 2-1. Houston and Oklahoma City face off in Game 4. Oklahoma City outscored the Rockets 15-3 in overtime on Saturday to win Game 3, 119-107. Miami's also going to try for a sweep over Indiana in the other Eastern Conference matchup, which I honestly did not see coming. I didn't see Miami sweeping Indiana.
Indiana's one of those teams. Miami's sneaky good. Indiana's one of those teams where they should be good, but I don't know. I don't trust that Indiana's going to be good all the time.
The key thing there is Miami is sneaky good. Watching them play, what's Duncan Robinson is averaging like over 55% from 3, and he scored his first 2-point bucket in like 4 games. Like he just doesn't they have this weird chemistry there where everyone just has their role. And they just win games.
Are they capable of winning the East?
They have the size to win the East.
They have the chance to run the table because if we're being realistic, the best teams in the East are Boston, Toronto. Who do we got after that?
Bucks.
But but the Bucks are weak. They lost to Orlando.
They lost 1 game to Orlando.
Yeah, but bro, they almost lost Game 2 to Orlando too, and then Giannis was like, "All right, never mind." Or Game 3. Sorry, they tried to lose Game 3, and then they were like,
Milwaukee's the highest scoring team in the league. Yeah.
So I think Milwaukee, those top 2 teams. The only team I think that they're going to run into is Boston because Boston has a lot of firepower. I think Milwaukee is beatable. Obviously, what I said, except just stopping Giannis is the problem. But my thing is they have, like Parker said, they have the size with Bam, with even this stupid enough to say Myers Leonard. He's huge and he can shoot the ball now. And Jimmy Butler is a bigger guard.
Jimmy Butler's a good defender too.
Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, they're all bigger wings, so they have a chance.
Okay. Well, Miami was the 5 seed, so I mean,
exactly.
They're not even favored. They shouldn't even been favored to win this series, right? In theory, but only separated by a game. But Miami only finished a game ahead of Philadelphia in the standings. So I find it weird that those 3 teams are right there together. Philadelphia's just gone, and the Heat are crushing the Pacers. So I don't know.
Bubble basketball.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because the prize for the Heat will be the Bucks. So.
That'll be a matchup, though.
We'll see how that series goes. All right, so that leads us to a couple things. We're going to talk about the NBA and defense, which seems to have vanished, by the way, from the NBA. I'm looking at the points per game and opponents' points per game on the thing, and this is the first time that I can ever remember. There's no one in the NBA who averages less than 100 points a game. And right now it's 106.
Woo.
Wait. The Hornets, 102. Everybody else is 106 or more.
Damn Hornets.
Just damn Hornets.
And then what happened was they had 150 game, and it's raising their average for the year.
So I cannot recall the last season where somebody for the whole year wasn't in the 90s, like 98 or 97, right? It's usually Eastern Conference where they slow things down and they play. This is way, way, way above 97. You're talking about 106 points a game. That is ridiculous. That the lowest scoring team in the West is Golden State. What?
Well, three-point shots are up. Right.
Sure.
So the volume of makes are up too.
Yeah.
As well as the shot clock is lower than it has ever been.
Yeah.
So there's more possessions, there's more chances to score. Free throws are higher, not higher than they've ever been. They actually were higher a couple years ago. But all of these things contribute to more points. But it's happening in all sports, football and baseball too.
Does it make for better basketball? Is it more watchable? Is that why they're doing it?
It is more fun to watch.
Is this the version of the juiced baseball?
It almost is, yeah. But I think the version of the juice baseball is when they finally put the 4-point line in.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for.
That'll be it.
Any day now. Damian Lillard will never take a 2-point shot for the rest of his career.
Yeah,
as soon as that 4-point line goes in, it'll be 3s or 4s. That's it.
Yeah, and it does make for exciting basketball. I will note, like I said earlier, I love watching good defense, and it's frustrating when teams these days almost think our offense will fuel our defense, and that's never been the case in history.
Yeah.
And so watching this version is more stressful is not the right word, but it's more difficult to watch because you're trying to understand how a team's going about their play. Like, are we going to focus on let's put a small ball lineup in and just forget about defense and just try to outscore them?
Rockets.
Or are we going to be the Sixers and just try to dismantle everybody?
Just have the biggest players in the league.
Yeah,
it's not working for the Sixers.
No, it's not. And that's how the NBA is now. And it's the Warriors' fault.
The Warriors' fault. They ruined it for everybody.
They ruined it for everybody. You have to have great shooters, and you have to have quick people to guard the other team's great shooters. And if you don't, you are screwed.
Yeah, the Warriors. I remember one time watching the Blazers versus the Warriors. And the Warriors were down 18 points. Less than a minute and a half later, they were up 3.
Yeah.
And it was all from 3-point shooting, a little bit of defense, and good rebounding. And that's it. And they swung 20-some-odd points in just a little bit of time. It was unbelievable. 3-point shooting is jacking up the scores.
Yeah. So the best defensive team in the NBA this year, Toronto, at 106.5.
Without Kawhi, what is going on?
Right, but that's still not a great. I mean, 106.5 points a game is a lot to me, just from historical standpoint. That's quite a bit to be given up. But they are scoring 113. So, okay, if you got a +7 going for you, you're doing all right. It's just amazing to me to watch the numbers. They jump off the page at me when I see them because I'm so used to watching, the Eastern Conference, they play this slow down, methodical, physical defense, and this is what you're used to, and it's half-court game, and that's no longer the case. That doesn't happen. The whole NBA has exploded into pretty much 3-point shooters, and that's where we're headed. That's the way they want the game to go, and that's fine.
I blame it on science.
Science? Is it?
Yeah.
It's all about physics?
Think about like the great guys in the 90s and the early 2000s. Michael Jordan was smoking cigars and eating pizza and having card games. Dennis Rodman was cruising to Vegas for a weekend and things like that. And these guys were playing at an elite level, a slower level, but an elite level. At some point, we'll say 2008 or 9, being an athlete became a science. There's year-round training. There's all these things that you can do to improve your game. And when that happened, nutrition became a huge deal. And when that happened, all of a sudden, scoring just started flying through the roof because you have real athletes out there. And I'm not going to say that these other guys weren't real athletes, but you have tuned athletes. MJ would have stopped smoking cigars. He would have been the fastest player in the league.
But that
dude had to take breaths.
What I just heard you say was that everyone in the 80s was out of shape.
Did you
see how many pull-up jumpers they shot?
I would say it was just Barkley that was out of shape. But what?
Why do you think they had to play a slow down game?
Yeah, that's right. They put in the 3-point line in the 80s because this is boring.
And on top of that too, like one thing I think of, like as far as the scoring differences, and I was saying how weird it is in the bubble without them, but and the likes of people like Kevin Durant and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
They are just freaks of nature in scoring. And then on top of that, you get this whole mantra of if we don't have a superstar on our team, we're going to lose. If we don't have something to back that up with, which is like what the Blazers are doing. We have the Blazers have two dynamic guards in their backcourt. And what else do we have, though? That's the thing. But we try to use those to compete with the other people. The thing is, though, is that like back then, there aren't someone the size of KD isn't as slim as he is and as bulk, and so they're not running the floor like KD is.
I think KD would dominate.
Oh,
you.
absolutely.
I don't know if
dominate.
LeBron James would the same
Kevin
way.
Durant, I'm saying
Kevin Durant would kill.
Yep.
So let's move towards who are the best defenders in the NBA, and we're going to talk about a little bit about who's the best now versus who's the best back then, and we can talk about time frame because it was a different kind of basketball game that was played. But for the most part, a good defender is a good defender, and so I'll let you guys, Parker, if you've got a person off the top of your head, who's the best defender now? That isn't, and let's preface this, we were going to talk about this. It isn't a shot. I'm not talking about a center that's a shot blocker because they always seem to win Defensive Player of the Year. The center with the most block shots is that guy. But who's the guard? Who's the small forward that plays that clamp down defense right now? Who is it?
I think there's a couple dudes to choose from, but I think the one that sticks out to me as when he was healthy, as can stop anybody all the way from a smaller four all the way through guard. It did not matter. Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is a fantastic on-ball defender, and he doesn't let people get by him. He doesn't make mental mistakes like that. And he can handle. Klay Thompson can play defense against a Kevin Durant. I mean, Kevin Durant's really good. He's probably still going to score a little bit, but he can do it, and he can manage that type of person. The only thing Klay Thompson can't do is handle your 7-footers. Well, even though KD's technically a 7-footer, but he's a small 7-footer. But he's a small 7-footer.
Yeah.
But yeah, Klay Thompson, on-ball defender, he's fantastic. But we haven't seen him in a year, and I think the sport is worse off for it.
All right, I'll see your Klay, and I'm gonna do an underrated one because my original one I was gonna say is Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's just this big dude that's athletic and can move, but I'm gonna say something else. Drew Holiday.
Good answer.
Drew Holiday. Now he doesn't have the versatility like Klay, where I don't think Drew can maybe guard like a KD like that size. You give him anyone under 6'8", he will lock them down.
He's really
I
good.
watched in person him lock down both Dame and CJ at the same time.
Ruin the Blazers.
Ruin them in the playoffs. And then you watch him play on these weird mediocre teams like the Pelicans, and play these other great teams. And that's why the Pelicans are always around, is because Drew is not only a great vet, but he's playing defense on both ends of the floor. He gets steals, and he just is so defensive-minded, like awareness-wise, that he's just always in on the play.
Yeah, Drew Holiday, one of the most. So he's been playing. He's been in the NBA for 11 years, Philadelphia and then the Pelicans. But his stat line, if you look at his steals for his career, his average per game, it is one of the most consistent stat lines I've ever seen, excluding his first year as a rookie. His steals per game for the rest of his career, for the rest of his 10 years, are 1.5, 1.6, 1.6, 1.6, 1.6, 1.4, 1.5, 1.5, 1.6, 1.6. It is exactly the same all the time.
That's really good.
That is amazing. Okay.
And he's a guy who doesn't necessarily he doesn't get a ton of steals or a ton of blocks, but he puts pressure on you that messes with your shots, the kind of thing that doesn't show up in stat lines sometimes.
The last 3 years, he's averaged 0.8 blocks a game, so he's getting some.
He's getting after it.
Danny Green got 3 last night.
Getting 60 a season. Okay, so let me throw an all-time grade out at you guys. So probably the best defender for a guard that maybe ever existed, and that's Gary Payton.
Glove.
Yeah, Gary Payton was the only point guard ever to win the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year award. And he was fantastic. He's been fantastic defensively ever since he was at Oregon State. And I watched him play at Oregon State. But he's really, really good. And he's one of those guys that you can put on it doesn't matter who the guy he's guarding, he's going to shut him down. He's so fast. He's quick. He's got great hands. And you don't get called the glove for nothing So
That's true.
Yep.
who else you got?
AJ, go first.
All right. So we're trying to stick with a little bit of guards here. Let's see here. Honestly, I had two in KD and Drew Holiday. If we want to say someone else, Giannis. Giannis is just like, he's just so lengthy and he can lock people down. And the problem with Giannis though is that, like, I feel like sometimes he looks like a child that's still learning how to walk on defense because he just is so big. But when he plays defense, he can lock down a Joel Embiid, who I give crap about a lot, but Joel Embiid's a great center in this league.
Right.
He can also lock down the likes of Kawhi Leonard. In that game, Kawhi Leonard was struggling in that playoff series they had. He's still got his numbers, but Giannis can lock down a guard like that, and the way he plays, you almost have to consider him a guard.
That's fair.
He is a big man, but
he's a big dude.
Yeah.
But that's good though, because he can defend 5 through 1. He can defend the whole run.
The whole run.
And there's no give.
The only give I would say with him is you put like a Steph on him.
Steph could cook him.
Steph could cook him, but I'm picking Giannis 7 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I mean, even if Steph gets kind of by him, Giannis is fast enough to take one step and he's at the basket.
Exactly.
And then Steph goes to lay it up, and Giannis is over the top putting it down.
So if in the likes of guarding guards all the way through, I mean,
that's
Giannis,
not bad.
And he's an MVP. Like I could see Giannis winning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year if he wanted to.
That's not bad.
All right.
All right, for my next one, I'm gonna go with. Oh gosh, I'm torn between two people. They're both really good, but I'm gonna go with the guy to ever effectively lock down LeBron James for a few games.
No, don't say it.
It's Andre Iguodala.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Mario Hezonja. I thought you were gonna say Mario Hezonja. I was like, bro, don't say it.
I actually thought about going with Lance Stevenson. I was gonna say the only guy to ever make LeBron think about retiring.
Yep.
But no, Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala, even when he was, I'm not gonna say washed up, but battling injuries and older, because he's still playing, he was still able to make LeBron have some of the worst games of his playoff career. When he was with the Warriors, and it just he was a fun to watch guy. You couldn't get by him. You weren't strong enough to muscle him. LeBron James never backed down Andre Iguodala. It didn't happen. So, you can't get by him. You can't back him down. He can play you at the perimeter. What's left? Like, you don't have any aspects of your game to pitch on this guy other than passing it away. So I think Andre Iguodala is a great guard defender.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, these are all. The problem is you can't really argue these guys very much because they're all so good at what they do. I will throw out the NBA all-time steals leader, and that's John Stockton. Played for 19 years. First of all, that helps. You become the NBA all-time steals leader.
You get some time in there, yeah.
But he only led the league twice in steals. But he averaged for his career 2.2 steals a game, while averaging 10.5 assists a game. He's one of the few guys that did both offense and defense. You know what I mean? So you got guys that are really good defensively, and you have guys that are really good offensively. And when you combine the two, it becomes a really dangerous combination. Gary Payton, another guy that could score, but wasn't quite the assist guy like John Stockton. He ran that offense. That he was the reason that Utah was any kind of relevant. Karl Malone, you can say all you want about him, but without the other half of the pick and roll, there's nothing there. So he, in my opinion, probably one of the best point guards just in general. Not necessarily the best defensive point guard, but probably one of the best point guards I've ever seen play basketball. And for a 6'1" guy who looked like he was 12 all the time out there on the court.
Yeah, that dude never looked like he fit in on an NBA team. But man, he made his presence feel that.
And I think he has the record for shortest shorts in NBA since the 70s.
Until I get back to the league.
Right?
Until I get to the league. Come on.
Let's go.
And I will throw out a couple more. Let me throw out one more statistic for you. Alvin Robertson. There's another guy. Alvin Robertson played a number of years. San Antonio Spurs and the Milwaukee Bucks. Alvin Robertson is one of he led the league 3 different times in steals, and he at one year he had 3.7 steals a game in 85-86 with the Spurs. That's 4 steals a game every game. He in 86 he is one of 4 players to have ever recorded a quadruple double in an NBA game. And
Wow.
in 1986, February 18th against the Suns, 20 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 10 steals. And that's quite a day. Yeah, but I was looking up the all-time like steals in a game. The record's
Yeah.
11. Right? 2 guys
He's
have
right
done
there.
it, but then there's like 30 guys that have 10 steals in a game. Alvin Robertson has done it 3 times. And I was like, wow, 10 steals in a game 1 time is like, wow, but 3 times in your career, wow. Anyway, so that's one of those guys defensively. And then for Blazer fans out there, just for fun, I threw Larry Steele on here. Not only is his name say Steele right in it, but he was the very first year they had stats. They recorded steals as an official statistic. He led the league with 217 steals for Portland, 73-74. And he was third in 74-75 in steals. That was a guy with quick hands. Only played, 10 seasons?
Get him on our team now.
9 seasons?
We could use that.
Yeah, I mean, he is that size of player you probably could use. 6'5", mobile, quick, got good hands, can score a little. Career-wise, average 8.2 points a game. It's not great, but scores a little, assists a little, rebounds a little, does all those intangible things. So,
Right.
yeah. By the way, he never made a 3-point shot. He played 1 year with the 3-point line. So his career 3-point average is 0. But anyway, that's not the point. So, anybody else you guys want to throw out there before we move on?
Pascal Siakam. Dude, bro, you laugh. Bro, he
Laughing because the dude's tiny.
well, yeah, but
I mean, he's
so
big,
is,
but
so
he's
is KD.
yeah, you're right. You pick 2 dudes who are the same style of player.
Yeah, well,